I'm just
Yeah.
gonna hit record here, and we'll keep talking. But and I'll probably get you to revisit a little bit. I don't know what part of your stories that you want to share, like what you feel comfortable sharing. Um,
Yeah.
but we may want to maybe just have a sentence at some point where you just explain your story in a consolidated way, and I can just tack that in and edit that together. Um, but you were saying that that you think the breath work. So you had this history with breath work, and you were seeing that it could be explained or explored differently.
Yeah. Like I'd kind of had this 13-year history with yoga and meditation and breath work and all these different modalities, and really started out with the pranayama and got a good foundation there, but then got exposed to Wim Hof and dove into that and the integrative breath work as well with Naya. But I really saw an opportunity because what I was seeing is that breath work was being offered in a very narrow focus by different people. So there's Wim Hof method, there's integrative breath work, there's oxygen advantage, and there's kind of all these pieces of the pie, but nobody is really putting them together.
Mm.
And I could really see that there is huge benefits in all these different techniques, but that none of them were panacea. And so what I really wanted to do was to learn many different techniques and learn what were the specific benefits of one technique or over another, what was going on in the body scientifically, and to try and get kind of a more holistic view of breath work
Mm.
and to offer that to people based on their specific needs.
So what would you say? So okay, so this is really interesting. So if you so you've identified that certain breath techniques work better for specific types of people. Is that what you're saying?
For sure. Yeah, like, different types of people need different things. So if a person is hyperventilating all the time and really anxious, then they may not need the Wim Hof method. What they may need to do is they may need to do some work with their CO2 tolerance and slow down their breathing and do a whole lot less breathing.
Mm.
Or maybe somebody's in the middle and they can use both of those techniques in order to improve the way that their body deals with oxygen and to get all the benefits of the endorphin release and stuff from Wim Hof method. But the rest of the time, they're kind of monitoring their breath and monitoring their volume, and maybe both of those people need work with trauma release.
Right.
So it's kind of like all these different pieces that different people need or don't need, and really being able to see what are the what are the real strengths in these different modalities, and what can they offer people and what are their weaknesses.
Right. So when you're do you work one-on-one with people, or do you do just retreats and group stuff?
So I do work one-on-one with people, and also prior to COVID was doing a lot of group workshops.
Right.
Yeah.
And so right now, I mean, that's really interesting. I definitely I start with the breath with everyone that I train,
Hmm.
and I find that there's a couple universals, which is most people have over constricted rib cages, and don't understand the capacity of their breath. And so I always encourage people at first to even just experience the capacity of their diaphragm and expanding it. Um, I'm curious, do you feel like, um, what do you feel like is preventing people from, or you know what, there's a few different angles here, but I'm curious about one thing what do you think is preventing people from breathing properly, like on a psychological level? And then the other thing is, do you find that breath is an access point to deeper emotional things, other not just physiological benefits, but what do you think the relationship is between the emotional body and the breath?
Well, I think what's preventing people from breathing fully is past trauma. So past experiences that they haven't been able to experience fully. weren't able to deal with at the point in time that they occurred. And so I think in being able to deal with those, and using the breath, absolutely, the breath is a doorway into accessing those things that we don't we can't access it through the thinking mind. So we're using these different techniques that take us down into the deeper parts of the brain where we hold these subconscious patterns and beliefs and traumas and emotions. And so we can use the breath as a doorway to get into those. And of course, as we do that, then those experiences bubble back up and we have the opportunity to live them and to release the energy and the trauma that's stored along with that.
Mm. And so your experience with breath, like you went through some pretty big stages in your life. And would you like, is there anything that compares to the tool of the breath in order to tackle some of the things that you encountered in your life?
No, for me, like the breath is king, right? It's, as Iyengar says, breath is the king of the mind. Mind is the king of the senses. But the breath controls the mind. Where the breath goes, the mind goes. If the breath is calm, the mind is calm. And everything is downstream from that. And so I see it as the ultimate way to heal and to increase health, performance. It's fundamental to everything we do, right? If we don't breathe, we die. So it's, we can go weeks without food, days without water, and we look at all sorts of other modalities, but if we're not breathing and we're not breathing in a functional, healthy way, then everything else is, we're just really, it's a band-aid solution in my view. It's really key to get the breath dialed in.
Yeah, so I'm curious about your opinion on what a functional breathing, like what is that? What does that look like to some, because I encounter this all the time where I'm trying to tell people like, listen, I don't care that you want to do a squat, like I get it. You want to lift heavy shit, but you're all collapsed. You're not breathing. So if you're not going to breathe, you're actually not even going to get the oxygen and the nutrients to your blood. Your system is compromised. And I find people don't understand. Some people, not everybody, some people get it and are shocked. And I do an exercise with them and they realize, holy shit, like I'm not even breathing half of what I normally am. But what, in your opinion, is a functional like breathing apparatus? Like, what does that even look like?
I think it depends on what you're doing, right? And there's the Lao Tzu quote, the perfect person breathes as if they're not breathing at all. And I think that's something that virtually everybody needs to wrap their head around. Yet there are times when we need to expand our breath. And if you're doing heavy lifting, being able to create interthoracic pressure. If we're doing different types of breath work where we're looking to release emotions, we need a full breath. So to me, that looks like lateral expansion in the rib cage, and expansion to the front and back, and bringing the breath up from the pelvic floor up into the chest.
Mm-hmm. And when you're working with people one-on-one, how long does it take typically for somebody to connect to some form of functional breathing? Like maybe not full capacity, but something that allows them to breathe better?
Well, it's taken me almost 13 years. And I think that's another key to the unique way in which I'm offering breath work is a lot of the modalities are not looking at that as the primary focus. And to me, that needs to be the primary focus before somebody learns how to do Wim Hof method, or before somebody learns how to do an integrative breathwork technique. You need to really fully understand what functional breathing looks like. So it can take a lot less time than 13 years for sure, but they're deeply ingrained patterns. And so it's not just learning cognitively what a functional breath is. It's releasing the patterns that are causing us to breathe in a dysfunctional way. So it's much deeper than just lateral expansion in the rib cage, and
Yeah.
so, yeah, there's a lot to it. So it depends on the depth of trauma and experience that somebody's had in their life, and how keen they are to move forward.
Right.
Really release that stuff, right? Because a lot of people may say that they want to heal, or or want to perform better, but do they really want to do all the work that entails?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the one thing that when um, when I talk to people and they want to get to know a little bit about what I'm doing, and I share like, we're going to fix your posture, and we're going to get into the mechanics of your movement. And they're like, okay, cool. How are we going to do that? And I'm like, well, first we're going to talk about your thoughts and what's going on in your thoughts. And it's
Hmm.
like, no, but I want to exercise. It's like, yeah, but exercise, it's you're training the dog, you're training the animal. And if the animal is getting bad messages, it's not going to do very well, under pressure and under strain. And so we got to understand what the messages are. And I find breath work, you know, um, I think it gets misunderstood as like a bit of a woo woo thing. Like, oh, we're going to do some breath work and it's going to be kind of woo woo and spiritual, but really it's this like profound form of healing that um, kind of has no limit to it, which, it's hard to fully understand that without doing it. But have you had experiences with people who had doubted the capacity of this and then experienced it and was like, oh my God, what the hell is happening?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, it can be really profound for people, and especially people that are, locked in the thinking mind all day long, every day, and don't really understand that there's something else underneath that, behind the scenes. And to have that deep, profound experiences can be really eye-opening for people.
Hmm. So maybe we'll just close out here. If you want to give me any little backstory, something like what you said at the beginning before we were recording, something that just gives people, a brief history around where you came from and what got you into this.
Hmm. Well, I guess really I came to yoga looking for healing. Just I'd battled with mental health and addiction issues my whole life, and thankfully yoga came into my life, and with that came breath work and meditation and all these different modalities. And while yoga and breath work and the other modalities have remained a huge part of my practice, really over the last 6 years I've been leaning deeper and deeper into the breath work, and a few years ago is when I really realized that that's what I wanted to focus on and share with the world.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Uh, and for somebody who like, what would you, and I'm asking this to pretty much everybody who I'm going to talk to in these little segments. If somebody wanted to try something right now, let's say they're listening to this and they go, fuck, I want to just like, what is this breath thing? What can I do right now to take action to try this out? Is there a simple way that somebody can experiment with this that feels safe and interesting?
Yeah, pay attention to your breath. Breath awareness is the foundation of everything. So just becoming aware of how you're breathing at all different points in the day. As you become anxious, notice how you're breathing. If you're becoming angry, notice how you're breathing. If you feel calm, notice how you're breathing. Start to build a database of your breathing pattern and how that relates to how you feel. And then bringing in some really simple techniques, some box breathing, a 4-4-4-4 box breath, just to become more aware of what parts are moving, which parts are filling up, which parts aren't moving, and just what happens when we change the rhythm of the breath.
Mm. What's the box breathing?
Just like the four equal sides of the box. So like 4 inhale, hold 4, exhale 4, hold 4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a technique. It's an old Buddhist technique that's been kind of repopularized by, I think he's a U.S. Navy SEAL. His name's Mark Devine, and he's kind of brought it to popular attention over the last 5-10 years.
Mm.
It's just a really simple technique. It's a great technique, like for first responders, because it's a balanced technique as opposed to being relaxing or energizing. It's fairly calming, but you're still focused and you're not kind of too relaxed that you're out of it. It's nice
So
balanced breath.
inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, inhale for 4.
No, so a hold after the exhale as well.
Okay, so inhale. Oh yeah, that's chill. That
Yeah.
feels very, very solid.
Yeah, it is for sure. Well rounded
Yeah,
for a
cool.
box.
Sorry?
Well rounded for a box.
Yeah. Um, is there anything else that you feel like you want to share that we didn't get to that feels like really important about your message or the things that you're interested in?
I think, with Breath Army, the thing that I'm really trying to do is offer tools that help people release their habitual way of being in the world, and going deeper and releasing their traumas, releasing ego attachment, and really allowing people to shine brightly in the world and express freely and live freely. I think maybe right now more than ever we really need that, and just that deep sense of calm and clarity and trust that comes along with that is something we all really need right now.
Hmm. Yeah, we need it now and we're gonna need it. I feel like um this is people think that there's gonna be a time where it's gonna be like, oh, it's gonna be back to normal. It's like I think we're waiting. I think I'm waiting for round two of whatever is gonna happen. Like I think this is just gonna get harder. I don't think it's gonna get easier.
Yeah, but I think in my opinion, it's coming to a boiling point where it's like I feel like this is like the end of fear, and I think that we're going to move through that, and it's going to be ugly for
Right.
those who want to hold on to that paradigm of fear, and for those who are ready to let that go and move on. I think we're coming into good times.
Okay, I'm gonna stop recording and I want to ask you more about that.